Hello, can you hear me? Let's get the there we go. Hello, Jay.
Hey Nate, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's nice to find a quiet spot.
Yeah, nice. I'm so sorry. Rihanna and I both assumed that it was probably going to be postponed because of the conference. So we should have double checked with you just to see what the plan was.
I figured. I mean, I don't need to be at all of these, so I figured that the meeting would go even if I weren't. But I'm glad that thanks, Rian. But I'm glad that you were able to make it anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Rihanna and I were actually just in the middle of going through some stuff for the mentoring repo. So
cool.
pretty good time anyway. Yeah. So I'm wondering if perhaps since it's just us three, maybe to run some of that by you in terms of where we're at and get your feedback and thoughts about next steps, if that's suitable, or what were your thoughts?
So repo chat, and then the other thing I'd like to chat with you about is our talk is tomorrow, and so I wanted to ping you on how we can connect on getting a video.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'll get to that. It's been a nightmare, but yep, definitely.
So let's start with the repo stuff then. How are things going? And I can see you now, and you're all moving and everything, Rian.
Yes. I had some problems getting the video and the audio going, but I'm ready now.
Very good. Okay, so let's be official about this. So hello everyone. This is a meeting of the TAG-CS mentoring working group, and as this is an official CNCF meeting, it is covered by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which is mostly to say, please be excellent to each other. And hello to everyone who's reading and watching in the future. Sorry we missed you. So sorry about that. Let's start with the repo research and whatnot update. See, how's that been going?
Yeah, pretty good.
You can go, Joe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, good. We just, as I said, we've just been reviewing our notes from our previous meeting to sort of, look at obviously some of the attention areas and things that we need to focus on. And Rihanna and I have just had a little bit of go at sort of, drafting what a reorganized sort of layout and things might look like. And Rihanna's just, created a bit of a fork to sort of map that out. And I've just done a bit of a visual. So I'm not sure if it's worth doing a bit of a screen share or just send you through the links to have a bit of a look at. What was your thinking?
Probably a screen share would be easiest, I think.
Cool. Did you want to share yours first, Rian? Or
go ahead, Jay. You've got the link for both the fork and the presentation.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I've got like 50 tabs open. It won't be a tick. Okay.
I've been running into that a lot lately. Too many tabs and too many desktops. This is okay. So let me see if I can.
Oh, no, I'm the wrong one. Sorry.
I see the right document.
That one, I think it's pretty much the same thing. It's not in the slide file, but is that one coming up okay?
Yeah, it comes up fine. It's the one that we've just been looking at.
Yeah, okay, cool. We had a look at your documentation that you sent through, which was pretty helpful. There's still a couple of things that we need to wrap our heads around regarding like escape rooms and all those sorts of things that they mentioned. But we just tentatively sort of organize it into mentees and mentors, and those generally having a similar sort of flow and structure as opposed to the working group and CNCF ones, which we still need to flesh out in terms of everything that needs to be in them in general. But what we're just sort of looking at is having sort of brief overview in the README, and then perhaps putting these additional sorts of folders, all these ones in bold, with little subfolders or subsections, be able to sort of break out of them. So obviously,
are you describing the thing that is on the screen here? To the looks like I'm on page 4 of your.
Yes.
So,
So,
yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, I've sort of done. I moved over the wrong one. Yes.
I know we've got the right thing.
Yeah, no, I was looking at my PowerPoint one. I shifted things around on my screen, so my bad. Yeah, can you see my mouse here moving around now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah, so basically, breaking these down as well, we talked about catering to both new mentees and new contributors in general, and those who are experienced and returning. Same deal for our mentors, and ideally having some sort of relationship or progression from mentee to mentor, and sort of linking into those who are coming on board and hopefully cycling back around. So there's hopefully a bit of continuation from there, and then things in terms of and this, none of this is has to stay as is. It might be a bit too much, but perhaps different things around certs and training, or links to things where people can get started or keep developing their skills, breaking down things into different project aspects. So it's about proposals and benefits, and obviously with the CNCF for the reporting stuff around statistics and archives, etc. So that's the general sort of outline, and then having some links between like success stories and FAQs and things for that, flicking that link through as well. So that's pretty much where it is. And Rian has also just set up a similar, I lost it. Does that come up okay?
This is great, by the way. Going through each sort of line here, this is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh no, you're welcome. We just it's good learning for us too, just to sort of orient ourselves with the space.
No, it's still showing your presentation.
Okay, I'll flick back to that real quick and change it to one. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, now it's freezing up. Oh, the joys. Can you still hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you. I can see you, hear you, and I see your presentation.
Okay, cool.
So while Jay is changing his display, so how's KubeCon?
So far, so good. So the last 2 days have been the Kubernetes Contributor Summit, and so working a lot with the docs team. I just had a meeting with them, just the docs lead team, and it's been amazing. I've been meeting all sorts of folks. Had some meetings with the SIG release and SIG enhancements folks, and it's amazing. Like, I like working remotely and I like asynchronous, but it's amazing. We had a really good doc sprint yesterday that Abby put together, and it's amazing sometimes how Hippie was there as well. It's amazing how much work you can get done sometimes when you have like 20 people in a room all hammering on the same problem. Abby was able to really sort of put together for a doc sprint. Like, you really need a focused issue that is sort of widely applicable, because you want a bunch of people to be able to hammer on it, right? And she had a great issue. She was able to explain it really well to folks, and we had folks that were just excited to be there. It's been great. It's been really a lot of fun. And we're not even into Cube yet. We're still in the and this is where I found some time. Because we're still in the contributor summit sort of phase. We're not directly in the KubeCon, so there's not many sort of talks that I need to be. It's mostly just been meetings, which has been interesting.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
we will definitely meet you at Amsterdam.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to that. Detroit is an interesting place because I think Detroit is one of the few places that you can look south into a Canadian city. Because Windsor is right south of the river, and like so Detroit is, or Michigan is like the mitt, right? And then Ontario comes down south, and so if Detroit is here and Windsor is here, it's one of the few spots where you can like look south into Canada. It's really a weird feeling. It's fun. It's good though.
Yeah. I've actually been on that, roughly exactly where that conference center is. I've actually been there 3 or 4 years ago. I've been in America for an audit, so I flew in through Detroit, stayed the night in Detroit, and drove down to Ohio. So when I saw the photo that Hippie posted there, I said, "I've been there." So yeah, nice. Okay, so what I did is Jay and I yesterday knocked at this how we want to run it. So he went and mapped it out nicely in PowerPoint, and I just created the fork, and in the fork just did the folder structure, what we think should be, and we can then maybe just keep on playing in the fork, adding the things that Jay's got there. And then we can either merge in the fork, or we can, because there will be a lot of chop and changing, just merging in the fork later on once we're happy with it, or we can do it step by step in the main repo. Up to
So
you.
the way I've done major refactorings for documentation before is doing a fork is a great idea, and I've often created like a major change branch. So we'll have main and whatever the new layout is, whatever the name of that branch is, we'll call it version 2, right? You fork it into version 2, and then what we would do is merge any changes here into V2, right? So that we can sort of see how it looks, and then merge from V2 back into V1. But given that there's only a few of us who have got sort of access to doing the sort of work, treating your fork is essentially the same thing. So if we make changes, like if I were to make changes to this layout, I'd be happy to fork your repo and then make changes to it, bring PRs into this, and then bring it over. But then we lose a little bit of the what we then lose is the a little bit of the well, I guess we would lose maybe a little bit of the PR history doing it that way. That's why I would tend to prefer to create a branch. And if you want, I can do that. And then you can, like, all of this work wouldn't be wasted. It would just, instead of doing a PR onto main, you'd do a PR onto this V2 branch, right? And then we bring that in almost immediately, right? Because that's the major change. And then we can iterate by opening PRs or branching off of that new V2 so that we can keep things going. Does that make sense?
There's no hard feelings about this fork, because I made it this morning in about 20 minutes. I just moved things around and messed with it a little to show Joe and Jay what he did in the presentation. I just did in the fork. Without all the detail that Jay did. So we brainstormed about it yesterday. He went and did the nice exact flow of how it goes, and I just did the same mess about with it in the fork to see how it goes. So what we could do, I like your method. So maybe Jay and I can apply. I think his structure is way more clear, the detail, and we can for this week work on the fork to create the detail of what he has to have that structure. And then you create a V2 branch. And then next week, when we review it, we merge that onto your branch.
Can I ask you to hold on just for a moment, Ryan? I've got
no problem.
visitor. Do you need the room?
No, we need it for tomorrow, so if you don't mind, we can put a couple signs in here.
Oh, sure. Is it okay if I continue my meeting? Thank you so much. I found a quiet spot and I went for it. I appreciate that. Sorry about that, gentlemen.
All good. So yeah, if it makes sense to you, let's Jay and I continue working in the fall. And then next week, when you're happy with the progress, we merge that into the V2 branch with
Yeah,
a PR. And then
That's
from
fine.
there on, then it becomes more PR by PR improvements of adding files and so then we got the overhead structure.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then we would need to create the new branch until next week, which is probably better for me anyway.
Yeah,
But
good.
I'm not actually, Jay, you may have access to create a new branch in that repo. I'm not sure off the top of my head. You may
Okay.
have access to that, but if you're not comfortable or don't know, if you would like me to, I'd be happy to. If you'd like me to show you how, I would be happy to do that as well.
Yeah, that would be awesome, please. Just I'm still finding my way around everything. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's my suggestion to folks getting started with Git and GitHub and Git repos and such is you don't have to do it all via the command line. There are tools. One that I'm particularly I like quite a bit. It's not open source, but it's called Source Tree, and it's by Atlassian. Has got a really good visualization tool.
Okay.
So it's worth exploring and playing with a little bit. But so many folks are like, no, it's best to do just command line. I'm like, so sometimes,
It's a little harder for people if they're not strong on command line, but they're really strong on docs,
exactly.
to find ways to make it easier for them.
Yeah.
So after this, Jay and I are gonna pair a little on how to restructure it locally and push it up to Git and do things like that.
This is good. And then the other thing, I wonder, so there's something, because the other thing that I'd like to consider, and this is going to be it's a weakness of GitHub. With a website, you can set like a forwarding, because we have published URLs with information pointing to the pages as they exist now.
Yes, of course.
And so I wonder if there's a way to do this work so that we can preserve maybe some of the top level stuff. I don't know how it would, how we can sort of communicate that if you landed on a page that doesn't exist anymore. Like I would normally like leave a README MD with, oh, this information has gone to this location with a link. But that makes our top level quite messy. And if we're trying to clean things up in this way, it's something we should consider and maybe do a little bit of research on. But it may be something that we just have to decide, okay, we're going to have to break old links and provide a rational new link scheme, right? Which is going to be what this is, right?
Is the old links, the things that you have in mind is mostly other places in GitHub referring back to us?
That's what I'm thinking mostly, yeah. And so
wonder if GitHub have a tool to trace links
yes,
coming to like a link tracing tool.
well, there is so when you do this work, the git command that I would lean heaviest, the git command I would lean most heavily on is git move, because git move can move a folder or a file and it will preserve the history. So if you're just moving folders around in let's say you're in your Finder window, Git will see that as deleted and then created. Whereas if you use the git move command, we can recreate, and I can help with this. Like once we know where things are going, we may want to redo the work using Git.
Mm,
That way we preserve the history, the comments and all the rest of that. And it will that may actually be the best way to do it. Then we still will break links, but at least you can trace things if you are excited about having to trace things. For now, let's not worry about that problem, but I would look up Git Move just so that you're sort of familiar with it if you're doing this, if you're wanting to do this. So would you like to like, so far this is looking like a great top level. I'm assuming CNCF is sort of the administration type stuff that you were talking about earlier, Jay?
Yeah, I think we just mentioned in our previous meeting about perhaps having a spot for stuff that might support reporting things going forward. So there was also stuff like program statistics and probably more and reference stuff, more archival information and things as well. Whereas the working group is probably more operational and strategic things for us specifically.
Right. I wonder if instead of calling that CNCF, we could call that reports or statistics or something along those lines.
Yep, easy.
Yeah. And with mentoring WG, do we want to I actually like that? But I'm in terms of because that's mostly administration type stuff, right? Is that what we would want to call that folder? Is that like I'm happy to leave it as that because that's what we are linking over on the in the YouTube stuff too, aren't we?
What we were kind of in the CNCF, but we're thinking is at the moment there's all this information about previous mentors and mentees, and there's information about which programs is available. So it's more the administrative information than
Right.
because what we were thinking mentors would be purely catering to if you want to be a mentor or was a mentor or want to be a mentor again, this is all the documents that's applicable. Same for mentees. And if you want to get involved with the work of the working group, overseeing all these things, go to the working group part. And if you wanted to see the admin bits behind, go to the CNCF. We're right, it should not have. When I changed this morning to CNCF, I thought that's not very explanatory. It's more something you're right, reporting or I don't know.
No, that's
Project information, probably.
That's well, because project is kind of a loaded term.
Yeah, right.
Not loaded. It's got several meanings, so I tend to avoid that. But I think you're right. It's probably a better. We can workshop that. We can figure out what that should be. And then the other thing I was thinking is in terms of so where do the actual initiatives live? So where would we find GSOC, Google Summer of Docs, Google Summer of Code?
If you click on the CNCF link.
I can't. I think I'm. Yeah, there we go. Oh,
So I just move that in here, and then if you page down at the moment, the README is still all that, which according to Jay's layout, I would go and pull that. The README will again be like a one paragraph thing and break these all into historical information and different terms and make it a folder structure containing all this, because this README has just been appended over years, and it would be clearer if it becomes individual files, and after every program we just update another file for that specific. That's what we're thinking.
So I would call this folder instead of CNCF. I think you're right. It's I don't think projects. I think it's programs.
Program. Yeah, I was also thinking when you said project is wrong. I was also thinking program information of
and then I was thinking for the archival stuff or the historic stuff, would we want to have a top level archive folder, or would we want to have a per program archive? So maybe under LFX mentorship, we have the current 3 and then archive with all the rest of everything else. Or would we want like a top level archive that would have LFX mentorship, outreach, season of docs, summer code all in it as well, and then this folder would only have current stuff?
I don't-
Sorry, I just had a plane fly overhead, so I just missed that last part.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just thinking, I'm trying to think of, for somebody who's wanting to use this website or this repo as their, would it be better to have a per program archive or history, or would it be better to have like a top level archive? So a per project or per program archive would look like, so if you go into the LFX mentorship folder from here, right? You
Yeah.
would see maybe the 3 most recent things and then an archive folder with all of the rest of the history.
Yeah.
Or would it be better to have a top level history that would have like a clone of this folder?
Mhm.
And when you go into this folder, it would only be current stuff. So things like cross and outreach, you wouldn't even be listed here because they're not currently programs that we're active in.
Mm.
So that's sort of 2 theories of history or archive location. And I think we don't have to make the decision now, but it's maybe worth talking about and discussing where we would want those archives, or those program archives, so that we can make sure that when people are trying to get to the information that they need to do the work they need to do right now, it's the most easy to do that.
Yeah, and that comes back to, I guess, what we're talking about last time around who are the people that we expect to be interacting with it, and what layout is going to best serve them. But I can see pros and cons to both. I sort of like the idea of breaking it up per program, but yeah, in terms of keeping things current and especially being able to just sort of map around like the latest or upcoming intakes and semesters and things, maybe that's the way to go too. So yeah, I'm keen to keep picking that apart.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. No, the work that you 2 have done has been great so far. This is, these are, when you get me picking on minor things like this, you know that the major things are all pretty good. So this is great. I'm excited about this.
Now the archive thing, the way Jane I was thinking is to stick with what you suggested last time. Keep the high level directory as clean as possible. So only those four items there, and then from if you change CNCF to program, and under program have program archives. That would flow nice in my brain.
That's
the way
a good one. Yeah, I like that too.
Cool.
I think we can knock it together according to Jay's layout. I love Jay's presentation layout. It's way cleaner than what I've done up to now. And then check that out for comment and proposals of, and then as you say, then later on we just mess around in a fork until we like it, and then we move it according to your method, to maintain as much of the history as possible.
Yeah, it's fairly easy once you know where things are going to do the. It's cleaner too, because otherwise you wind up. Especially git move is actually one. I'm talking about the GUI, but git move is one of those things that is actually easier to do in the command line.
Yeah.
So, no, this is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about on this before we?
Not for me. I think this is going to be our focus for the week. So yeah, I think we'll just have we have more to sort of run by you and sort of break down next week.
Okay. Cool. And so then the next thing on the agenda is our talk.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I'm excited about, but also a little nervous about, because it's been probably 15 years since I've got up and talked in front of anybody.
Oh, you'll be awesome. I have no doubt. I've got a video. Sorry, it's been a mission on my end. I've even in the final cut, I still had a truck pull up, so it's not too loud, but yeah, we had leaf blowers and lawnmowers and alerts and alarms and all sorts of things happening. So it was
you sit down to do a video, and then like your neighborhood just wakes up.
oh, I haven't had, yeah. That was just between my take. So it's still not super clean, and it is a bit over 5 minutes. Sorry, I tried to keep it under that, but there's a couple of things that I thought were pretty key to include. So I'll send that through, and I've just made some tweaks to the slide as well. So you said it was still possible to,
Yeah,
cool.
still, what I'm going to do for the slides is when you give me the heads up, did you want to put the video in the slide, or do you want to send me the video separately?
I'll send it separately because and then I'll just put together some points of just when to give it a click or whatever, if that's all good.
Perfect, I appreciate that. And then because then I can click through. Or are you going to be talking over the video in your video, like over the slides in your video?
Yeah. So as I was filming it, I had like the slides in the background. I'm just sort of clicking through as a bit of a cue, so it sort of lines up to.
So then what I'll do is I'll get to your stuff, and then I'll put the video on, and then afterwards I'll get to the basically after your video, we're basically going into the Q&A. And so I'll just skip a bunch of, but when you give me the okay, I'll re-upload the slides. And I'd like to do it today because it's the video is the talk is tomorrow morning my time. So I'm in what's my time zone here? Hold on a second. Let me just open up my calendar. So I need to be in the room at 11:35 GMT -4. So Eastern, I guess we're in Eastern time. I'm not sure exactly, but so yeah. So if we, what time is it for you folks? It's like 9 a.m., 9:30.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. So if by the end of your day today, which will probably be a few hours, it'll be later in the, just ping, I'm up and I'm around. So maybe you can ping me when you do it, and then I'll update the slides on the in Sched. That way anybody who's looking at the slides tonight and tomorrow will have the most up-to-date slides, even though we're going to be giving the talk tomorrow. Does that timeline work for you?
Yeah, fully. I can click through the video now, and it won't take me that much longer to do the slides, and then the last thing will just be I just got to match up the what is it? The points.
Oh yeah, the animations.
Like a 1 minute type thing, and just so you've got a general sort of flow. So yes, thank you for your patience, and sorry about that. It's
no, this is I wish I could have helped more. It's been a team thing, so I'm and this is doing it the way that you're doing it is the bigger pain, and so I appreciate that you agreed to. I'm not sure that you knew that it was going to be the bigger pain, but I appreciate that you agreed to do it this way, because I think that again, it's what you're doing is important, and I really want to share it, and I want to make sure that people are seeing it. So
thank you very much. Yeah, no, I appreciate. I'm just grateful for the opportunity. Definitely not a fan of cameras or anything, but that's a good part of the learning curve and everything too. So hopefully it all works out, and you'll be fine, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I think I can talk about mentorship all day.
Yeah.
Like almost every conversation I've had so far has come back to mentorship a little bit. Like I'm what's the term? I'm hawking our wares. I'm trying to get people excited about it. I'm trying to get people involved. But I'm also having I had lunch with someone today who I had done a mentorship with last year, and I was just talking with them about what they think mentors need in the current sort of like the project that they're going through right now. I'll just say, I was talking with one of the maintainers for etcd, and etcd is looking for new maintainers, right? And I thought, well, how can I help you get new maintainers? Can the mentorship program help with this? And for a program for software like etcd, it's not a big app, but it's very complex. And so in order to bring somebody up to speed, like that takes 4 months, right? And then somebody is up to speed and just getting useful, and then they have to go away. And so it's like, okay, can we start thinking about like an 8-month internship if we're going to do that? Or can we bring in, or how do we bring in folks who are, instead of undergrads, maybe we're looking at folks who are master's degree students or PhDs or people earlier in their career somehow. And so it was an interesting conversation, because we need to get folks, if the mentorship program is helping find new maintainers, which I don't think is it's not one of our goals at all right now. But it would be an interesting thing to think about, is like, okay, well, given that situation, can mentorship help? And maybe the answer is no. But it's maybe worth considering, just because it's like, okay, well, especially with the LFX mentorship, because we run it, well, rather the CNCF part of the LFX, because we run it, we can try different things. We can do experiments and see how things go. We would have to be very open with that for all parties involved. But things like, if you bring on somebody who's a 4th-year student, or let's say a graduate student who's in their last year, they're looking for work in other places. And so, and this has happened a couple of times where a mentee will find work and then be like, okay, well, I can't do this mentorship anymore because I got to start my new job next week. But if you offer potentially like an 8-month internship, that might mitigate that type of issue, for instance. It was interesting. So excuse me. I've been trying to have conversations like that where it's like, okay, well, how can we help? And what are folks' thoughts about mentorship and whatnot, and how the program is being run, and how best to help them. So I'm hoping, and everybody's been very open with their suggestions. So I'm going to be trying to take notes, and I will report back in the next couple of weeks as we have more as we work through this stuff.
Awesome. No, I look forward to it all. It all sounds exciting. That sounds cool.
All right. Well, I don't think there's anything else on our agenda. So thanks both of you for making some time today. And I think probably I'll give you 15 minutes back. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, that sounds all good. Thanks again, and I'll
fantastic.
start sending that stuff through to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Talk soon.
Thanks for leading this. Cheers. See you later.
How do I stop this now? Meeting. There we go. Leave.